Etsy Ads worth it in 2022? Often advertising is an important business strategy. It gets you that start to getting seen, gets you ahead of your competition, and builds brand awareness. But in inexperienced hands, they can really just be a money pit. This is going to be part one of a two-part video talking about the different types of Etsy advertising. This time we're going to look at Etsy Onsite Ads, formerly promoted listings. And before we get started, let me know in the comments below, do you use Etsy Ads? How do you find them? So in this video, I want to cover everything about Etsy Ads, an ultimate guide, if you will. So it's going to be large and there might be some basic things, so use the chapters below to find the sections you're most interested in. So as I said, there are two types of Etsy Ads, but the on-site ad, what type of adverts are they? These are seller-purchased adverts. They're shown in several places on Etsy, including the search results page. And they're even shown on some listings pages. You can always see an ad because it has to say ad at some point on it. Ads are currently shown as ad by Etsy seller, but Etsy experiments with how they show them. Just as long as it's always clear they are an ad, they might change how they look sometimes. There always has to be something to differentiate when something's a paid ad as opposed to something that's been shown in organic search. As an Etsy seller, you're limited in what you can do with these adverts. Your choices are whether or not you switch on the ads, which listings you want to promote, your total daily budget that you want to spend, and just recently we can communicate if some keywords are irrelevant for a listing. How to switch on your Etsy ads. From your Etsy dashboard, click Marketing, then Etsy Ads. You start your ads by choosing your daily budget. This is the maximum that you want to pay each day. The minimum you tend to be allowed is $1 per day, and the maximum will vary depending on your history with Etsy. They'll give you a lower maximum to start with until they can trust that you're not going to burn through the ads and then not pay them. So initially you might see this maximum is lower than you want, but over time it will increase, so keep an eye on it. Once your ads are turned on, you have options to change your budget and the listings you advertise. See common questions and other options that we'll come back to. You can also see your ad stats. When you've just started advertising, you won't see anything here, but after a few days there's some useful information. Check out the stats chapter so we can look at the cool ways you can use your stats. Etsy have changed how they display some of your stats recently, but everything is still there. How to turn off your Etsy ads. Again, from your Etsy dashboard, hit Marketing and Etsy Ads. You might think to turn off Etsy Ads you would go into your Manage Budget section, but actually there's no option in there. And it doesn't let you set your budget to 0 either. So you actually have to go to the other options on the right hand side. Here you can show or hide your graphics, share feedback, and most importantly, there's the option to turn off your ads. The cynical amongst you might say this is a little bit hidden away. It's not the easiest place to find where to advertise, but of course I would never say something like that. You then get a screen to encourage you to keep advertising, and finally a button to properly turn it off. How much do Etsy ads actually cost? Although you set your daily maximum budget, how much it costs to advertise an individual listing varies. It's quite complicated. The ads are charged at a cost per click basis. This means that money is only taken out of your budget if someone clicks on one of your ads that they see. You're not charged just for your advert being shown, but only if someone actually clicks on it, but regardless of if you make a sale or not. So it is possible for Etsy to spend your entire advertising budget without you making a single sale. So make sure and never set that budget higher than what you're happy to lose, or okay to lose. Nobody's happy to lose money. The cost per click depends on a bidding war. Etsy decides how much you want to pay for that advert based on a virtual bidding war between the other adverts that Etsy could show. So Etsy is deciding how much you're going to pay, and Etsy controls the bidding war and bids on your behalf and the other seller's behalf. This virtual bidding war happens between your listing and all the other listings that Etsy could show in an ad for this search. And this bidding war actually happens in real time every single time someone searches for a keyword. So think of this like a super fast eBay auction. And if your listing is the winner here, it is shown to the customer in the ad slot. Factors that determine how much your bid is going to be include the competition for that keyword. If there are a lot of people advertising for the same keyword, that bidding war is going to go up higher, so the cost per click is going to end up being higher. Your item's cost, and also the probability of your item selling when it's being seen, and also even things like the time of day and the location of the buyer are all factors. So how much Etsy ads cost is very complicated and will vary between listing and listing, shop to shop, and country to country. But the worst case is Etsy ads could cost the entirety of your budget for no sales. But for listings that are selling well, the Etsy ad algorithm is designed to charge in ads no more than how much you're likely to make from sales. So it should be aiming to bid for a level of no more than just under $1 for every reckoned $1 in sales. This means a very competitive keyword might give a very low return on ad spend, a very low amount of money back for every dollar you put in advertising. But some shops do find, and they tend to have less competitive keywords, that they actually get a very good return on ad spend because they're less competitive keywords, so less bidding, so they have to pay less to get seen. People often advise never to set up Etsy ads until your SEO is good. And generally this is because people just don't get seen in Etsy ads if their SEO isn't great, because they're asking the algorithm to bid for them on irrelevant keywords or keywords that their listings aren't very good for, so people don't want to buy. So the algorithm learns this, and it gives you a very low bidding price. It bids very low for you, so other listings would outcompete and get shown in place of your less good or less relevant listing. So how do you use your Etsy ad stats? There's actually more data being added here all the time, which is great, but it is still limited. Pick a time period to view your stats. Like all data, pick a large enough time period. You're wanting, if possible, to be looking at thousands of views, not hundreds or tens, because the more data you have, the more accurate data you have. If you don't have much data yet, be aware that any conclusions you draw are going to be less accurate. Ad views are the number of times people were shown your ads. If this is low, it could be that there are low searches for this keyword, or there's just too much competition and you're not getting shown. Ad clicks is the number of times people clicked on your advert when they saw it. From this you can calculate your click-through rate, which is simply just clicks divided by the number of views multiplied by 100. This is something you can compare over time and see if it improves. An increased click-through rate means that people are becoming more likely to buy your items when they're shown it. Orders from ads, this sounds obvious, doesn't it? But remember, what can happen is someone can click on your ad for a certain item and then buy a totally different item, perhaps one that you're not even advertising, but that order counts as from the ads because people found you through your ad. And from here you can calculate conversion. It is just simply your number of orders divided by the number of clicks multiplied by 100. Revenue is obviously how much money you took in. Revenue per impression is an interesting metric. It gives an idea of how worthwhile it is Etsy to show this, how much money they're going to make for every impression that they show your item. So the higher your revenue per impression, the more likely Etsy is going to want your listing to win that bidding war. Cost of the ads, how much it's cost, obviously. Return on ad spend is just your revenue, how much you took in, divided by how much you spent. This tells you for every $1 you spend on advertising, how much on average you're getting back in sales. Cost per order is your spend divided by the number of orders. Cost per click is the spend divided by the number of clicks. Cost per impression is the spend divided by the number of views, the number of times your listing was shown. You can click to see graphs for metrics. And Etsy has actually moved where you can see your individual listings. This is all on a desktop, by the way. So your Etsy Ads dashboard now looks a bit like your Offsite Ads dashboard. But to see more details of your individual listings, click Manage Advertised these listings, and you'll see lots of stats. Also click on search terms. Now not only will you see the search terms that your listing was being found for, you can sometimes see if they had a high click-through rate or a high order rate, but you'll also have the option to tell Etsy if that was an irrelevant keyword. Unfortunately, this data only seems to be for 7 days just now, which at a low time for sales for most of us really doesn't give us much data. So we can look into which individual listing has our best return on ad spend, best click rate, or which ones are costing us lots of money with no results. How to optimize Etsy ads. There's no right and wrong way to do this, but we have to experiment to see what works for our listings and our shops. If your listing is already ranking well in organic search, try turning your ads off for that listing and see what happens. Buyers may, rather than click where they saw it in the ad, they might click on your listing in the organic search page, so your views, visits and sales may not actually drop by turning off the ads. Alternatively, some people do say they see a drop even in the organic traffic to those listings. Now, this does not mean that Etsy is showing up your listing lower because you're not advertising it. That would be illegal. But what can happen is sometimes a person has to see something several times, get kind of brand awareness of it before they purchase. So if they've seen your ad at the top of the page, they scroll down a bit, they see your listing there, they go on to the next page, they see your ad at the top of the page, they see your listing further down. It might be on that 4th time that they click. So if your ad wasn't there, they might click on somebody else's listing. Customers are strange things. Try turning off ads for listings that are really costing you lots of money with no benefit. But be aware, benefits are more than just monetary. We've got all those stats. Are you getting some useful information? Always remember and check your data before turning off any part of the ads, because sometimes we don't get to see that data again unless the ads are switched on. Experiment. Once you've found what your top converting keywords are for certain listings, experiment by duplicating those listings, turning off the ads for the original one, but in the duplicate listing only have tags and titles focused on those top converting keywords. Get rid of all the irrelevant ones, and if you see irrelevant ones coming in your Etsy stats, get in there and click those buttons to tell Etsy that those are not relevant keywords. You can also experiment with trying advertising only in certain seasons. I know I do much better on the run up to Christmas. I do much better with everything, but obviously people are more likely to buy, so I get a better return on my ads at that time. Or even try certain days. Shoppers are actually shopping less on Etsy at weekends, so maybe switch off your ads on weekends if you're burning through a budget and not selling much then. Or even some people experiment with trying different times of the day. So switch off your ad overnight and then come in a little later in the day, potentially when other people have burned through their advertising budget and their listings are switched off. But switch on your ads later in the day and see if that makes a difference. It is hard work though. And experiment with a higher or lower budget. Etsy is always telling us to up our budget if we've used up the budget for the day. And that could be the case. If you've used up your budget early, your ads are not getting seen. So if we're not experimenting with switching them on and off through the day, Etsy's kind of switching them on and off with us running out of money for the day. So perhaps a higher budget would give you better results. If you're not using up your budget for the day, increasing your budget is unlikely to give you anything. But also experiment with a lower budget. So are Etsy ads really worth it? Every shop, listing, time of day and even location is going to be different. But for the majority of sellers that I've heard from, the answer tends to be a big resounding no. Etsy ads are no longer worth it. There are exceptions though. Here are the considerations I take into account to decide if ads are worth it for you. Number one's the no-brainer. Are they making you a good profit? Once you factor in the Etsy fees and the ad cost, materials and your time to make the item, are you actually getting a good return on what it's costing you for your ads? If you're making profit here, then I would say that yes, the ads are likely working for you. But even if they're not, even if you're making a small loss on the ads, it still might be worth your time. There's still some value that's not necessarily in immediate sales. Are they helping you get seen for keywords that you can't quite rank rank yet for in the organic search. Some great keywords are hard to get seen for, so it might be a good start to start out with ads, get seen in the ads. Then you have an idea if these keywords work for your items at least. It could be increasing your brand recognition. Why do you think all the massive companies are paying a fortune to advertise on television and normal media? They don't get a whole lot of sales from being seen on the telly when people are sitting at home watching a movie. But their brand gets recognised as a quality brand, and perhaps when people are out, they're more likely to buy that brand than another one because they've seen it often advertised. So this could end up with people searching for your shop name more, or even finding you on social media and joining your mailing list. And there's a good potential for return customers. If you're making any sales and the customers are happy, then it could well be that they're going to buy and you pay for this ad, but then they come back year on year and become return customers. Are you launching a new range that's testing new keywords? This might give you a chance to see if the new keywords in the new range are any good. Coming back from a break, your shop's been on vacation and it's lost a little bit of traction. Etsy Ads might give you a little boost to get seen, get some sales in. Getting in front of the season. If you sell something seasonal and just before the season starts that you know your items do well for, throwing a few bucks into ads might be a good idea to get seen, to get those early sales. Obviously it can help with a little extra keyword research because you're getting seen in potentially different places, and we do have the ability to see what search terms you're getting seen for with ads. It might give you an idea. If you're spending all your money and getting no results, at the least it's telling you maybe customers aren't liking your items for those terms, so you've done some keyword research. Or you might see some keywords popping up that you hadn't thought of because ads are showing you in different places and they turn out to be good keywords, and if you put them properly into your titles and tags, you might get more organic sales as well. And it can kickstart a brand new shop. If you're not getting seen, you don't have a whole lot of a social media following, you're pretty much brand new, it is somewhere to get yourself started. But are Etsy Ads worth it? Probably not. Think of it like an investment. Don't spend more than you can afford to lose, and don't switch on Etsy Ads thinking you're going to pay and you're going to make way more money back. Ads aren't like that, unfortunately. It is likely you're not going to make money. It's a bonus if you do. And are Etsy Ads worth it? If you're making a lot of money, of course they are. If you're not, probably not.